Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. It's a privilege to be able to come to you today. I've been asked by some of the folks that have been discussing the merits of the historic landmark program of tax exemptions to give a bit of my background, because I'm very reluctant. I was very reluctant to criticize the program because I support it so strongly. I'm sorry Lynn Team is not here today because I respect her greatly. She's one of the finest voices on the Heritage Society. This program has, over the last 30 years, and the enforcement and the review of landmarks has changed from my perspective. And it's really become quite broken. And you've heard some of the criticisms. Obviously, council recognizes part of the problem, and I thank the Mayor Pro Tem and council members Shade and Spellman for focusing on it. You have really stale air and voices that echo off one another and don't really see the problem. And they've given to you, the council, a problem that they really have helped create. And those voices are your city staff, landmark staff, the Historic Landmark Commission, and unfortunately the Heritage Society. Let me start this PowerPoint presentation. I've done a number of landmarks, zonings and restorations in Austin in my life, none of which sadly have made me much or really any money, but it's almost an addiction. I do love our history, and I do love historic landmarks. What you see before you is the Roy Thomas House, which we saved from demolition on the Villas of Guadalupe project and restored and zoned it historic. We won an award from the Heritage Society for that. I own and have restored the James Brown House. This is the oldest house in the Vermont district. It's a good example of why you need historic tax abatements or exemptions, because it is very expensive to maintain that particular structure. Very inflexible, hard to lease. This is a White Springfield house, is a house that I purchased and restored and zoned historic. The TMI Castle, Castle Hill's iconic structure, had only one lot, 50 by 100 or 75, I think it was, in the middle of the building that was zoned, and I bought it, restored it, and added 2 additional lots to the historic site by zoning them. Currently, I just completed the 1880s Santa Fe Railroad Depot in Lampasas, and I'm working on the WPA 1936 Federal Style Post Office. This program is broken, and what you have are houses, mansions really, that are being given tax breaks through the historic program that serve no public purpose. This is precious money, and we have enough imperiled historic landmarks to be in our city that need to have this money. When you give it to someone who doesn't need it, for a home that doesn't need the repair, it has already been restored. And when you lower the bar for what it is to be a landmark, you basically take the entire program and subject it to criticism. And the public loses faith in it. And I value this program and don't want to lose it. So I do think we need to focus on how do we fix it. And that focus really needs to be on high-end single-family homes, SF-zoned homes. Historic landmark designation is not a neighborhood planning tool. Neighborhood planning is. It is not a historic district, local historic district. That has its own purpose. And there's one district in Austin, there's 2 that are currently active. Hyde Park is the only one of those that I own property in, and I've supported it. We have signed up in support of that district. It's So you've heard that 50 properties in Pemberton Heights and Old Enfield have received historic zoning recently and tax exemptions. I won't go through all of this text here, but basically the average value of the home that received historic landmark designation in the last 2 years, most in December of '09, $1,425,000. All of these homes are nicely restored. That's what our neighborhood looks like now. The red is the newly historic, the green is the truly historic, the older zoned properties. And I would submit to you that under the current scrutiny and the current enforcement that you're receiving, almost every house in our neighborhood would qualify. And some of the finer ones haven't even applied. Pemberton Heights, you've got 30 million in homes that went off the tax rolls in the last 2 years. They're over $1 million each. That's what their map looks like, with the red being the new ones. All right, now let's talk about some of these structures. What I did is I went through and just walked around my block. I didn't go through every one of these 50. This is the president of Old Enfield Neighborhood Association's home. If you look here to the left of the house, you'll see to the left of the dormer, 2 windows, one over the other. This is kind of a hard one to see, but today, the home that came to you for zoning, for historic landmark status, has an entire new wing added onto it. The facade's been altered. On the historic staff's review sheet, that's not disclosed. What is disclosed is that there's been a small addition in the rear. That's not correct. It's inaccurate. The applicant didn't correct it. Staff didn't look at it. Landmark Commission didn't catch it. And they let you down by not doing that. That's what they're supposed to do. Here is the next door neighbor to that house. And by the way, these are nice people and these are fine houses and they've done a wonderful job. I have no problem with these. They're just not landmarks. And not only that, even if you think they're landmarks, they've been severely tampered with, and nobody asked them to do the right thing. And when are you going to get an opportunity that's better than when you're bestowing tens of thousands of dollars in perpetual entitlements to them? This is what this property looked like when I moved into the neighborhood about 8 years ago. This is it today. You cannot see it. A backhoe dug a trench and they planted plants around the entire property. If you do peek over the fence and the hedge, you will see 2 structures that are not Italianate. Let me go back. That's an Italianate house. That's what's been added in the backyard. I could find no building permits for either of those. Now, this is a 1956 Sanborn map, and the arrows point to the 11 Niles Road, which is the first house we looked at, the dark green, 9 Niles Road, and I'm going to show you two more here in a minute. But what this shows you is that these are additions. This shows you that they were not there. I'm not sure why this is a landmark. This is 1608 Woodlawn. And if you notice this, now look what it looks like today. All the brick was replaced. The front yard completely out of period. You've seen this one. This is a $5.9 million, $5.7 million house. And the problem I have with this one is, where's the public purpose? Where's the need? Why are these funds being used here when they're so badly needed elsewhere? I see I run out of time. I do have some ideas on how to fix the program. I hope you will reach outside the stale air of this trifecta that's giving you advice as stakeholders, and get stakeholders that are really walking the walk.
Thank you.
Thank you.